I, 19M, recently found out that my older sister, 34F, is actually my biological mother. Throwaway account because I don't want this link to my main account. My older sister, let's call her Rose, and I have a great relationship since I was a baby. We were raised with an amazing adoptive family and she has always taken care of me. I grew up in a very warm and loving environment, but from what I was told, I was lucky. I was told the story of how me and my sister had two drug addict parents who never took care of us. They never bothered feeding us and used to left us at a junkie friend's house for days to go out partying. When my mom was pregnant with me, she smoked and got drunk. Luckily I turned out pretty fine, pretty often, and when I was born my sister was the only one who took care of me. When I was 2 months old they left us both in a mall and left. We got help from an old couple, who also turned into our adoptive family, and we contacted the police, but my parents weren't at the house, which looked like a homeless cave. We never saw them again, and after several months in foster care the couple that helped us, throughout the whole way by the way, agreed to adopt us. Today I'm 19 and Rose is 34. I still live with my adoptive family and she lives about 20 minutes away, so I come and visit her at least 3 to 4 times a week. So a couple of months ago my friend offered me to take a DNA test to find some information about my heritage, since my sister wouldn't speak of them much. After the results came in I found out some pretty interesting things, like being 50% Ashkenazi Jew. I found out later that I had an aunt, 33F, in the system. I immediately reached out to her, let's call her Janet, and we agreed to meet in person. All that without telling Rose a thing. When we met up I could see we have some similar characteristics, like same hair color and same eyes. We tried to figure things out, so I asked her if she has a brother or sister, and she told me that when she was 13 her 14-year-old sister got pregnant while being drunk with her junkie boyfriend, and a month after giving birth she ran away with the baby after some pretty intensive fights with their parents. They never found her and stopped looking after 1.5 years. I connected the dots, asked to see a picture of her, so we went to her parents' house. Mom wasn't home and father died 3 years ago. When I saw the picture, I knew. This was Rose, 100%. Rose is my mom. We were never abandoned, we didn't have junkie parents, and she fabricated the entire thing to me and our adoptive family. I immediately gave Janet a hug and told her that it's too much for me right now and asked her to keep it a secret for now. I went to my best friend's house, told him everything, and for a week now I'm sleeping over at his place. I told my parents and my sister him at his house because he bought a new game that we both wanted for long and avoided talking to Rose much. I can't look her in the eyes right now, let alone tell her I know the truth. What the hell am I supposed to do? How should I handle this? Should I tell her I know? Edit, my best friend just took me out for a movie and a drink. I'm not that drunk right now though. I thank you all so much for your warm replies, made me look at the situation a bit clearer. I have decided to break it to Rose this week, but I need some time to think about how to tell her I know. I don't know if I should try getting there slowly or just break the news to her somehow. I even considered bringing her sister with me, but I genuinely think she will be pissed. I'll keep updating as soon as I'll decide how to tell her. Right now going to bed to sleep it over. Edit 2. After seeing some comments asking how the adoption process went, I decided I need to explain some things. First of all, it's worth mentioning that the adoption process wasn't immediate and it took about a year between the time that happy couple found us outside the mall and the time they adopted us. We were in foster care that time and Rose used to keep touch with them and they would come visit us once or twice a week, or so I'm told. I don't know what to believe now. Eventually Rose broke down in tears for them and told them she hates foster care and that her little brother, me, would grow up here and she couldn't bear that thought. At that time they decided to try and adopt her and hired lawyers and stuff, and after a few months it was legal and done. At least that's what I was told. I don't think my adoptive parents knew, but if they did then that story is probably a lie too. Update. Okay, so I first of all want to thank everyone for your honest replies. It really helped me to get my feelings straight and get ready to confront her. So after a week of avoiding, I came to her house with a picnic basket by surprise so I'll have a chance to speak with her. She was happy to see me and I told her to sit down because we need to talk. I started things with saying that I know that she has a secret that she's been hiding from me for years. Her face turned red and she started crying like hell. She knew what I was talking about. I told her the story about the DNA test, about Janet, and basically what I told you guys in the last post. Well, after she calmed down a bit, she told me the truth. She told me how she got drunk at a party and slept with one of the jerks who does nothing but weed every day. He didn't really care about a future kid and was like, yeah, whatever. Apparently she found out that 10 years ago he was stabbed in prison after sitting for drug dealing, assault and armed robbery. She told me how her mother used to convince her father to talk me out of the idea of keeping the baby. They would constantly fight with her. When the baby was born, they told her on the spot that she brought shame upon the family and they will not help raising the baby in any way, meaning she will have to work meanwhile to have money for her baby and sometimes for herself. After a couple of months of loaning from her friends and juggling between working and taking care of me, she had a huge fight with her parents and told them that if they are not helping financially and barely in any sort of way, she and me are better off without them. As they sent her to her room, she escaped in the middle of the night, hitchhiked to a neighboring country, and by morning she was there already. She tried to take care of me for a few days. She found an old abandoned house that used to have homeless people coming around every now and then, and she took me to the mall when I started crying. She started crying too. The couple that adopted us immediately came to our aid and asked if we lost our mother. Rose jumped on the opportunity and came up with a story and an alias. Police figured out we are not in the system for multiple reasons. We were raised in foster care for a year and a half until the couple that helped us decided to make the effort and adopt us so we won't be separated. It took them a few months and a couple of lawyers, but they managed to adopt us both. Rose knew all along that her parents are looking for her. They came to their senses after a day or so. She reached out to them and told them in a letter that she is fine and is taking care of herself and me. She is not homeless and found a nice couple to help her with the baby. She made it clear for them that she is never coming back and they should stop looking, and a month after that they stopped. A few years later her father went on a quest to find her. She was after 18, secretly. After so much time searching he found her and apologized, and after a while she forgave him and kept secretly in touch with him. He met me a few times and I knew him as one of Rose's old friends from the park. He helped us a few times and apparently they would meet up once every 2 months secretly. Ironically, I'm glad I got to know him before he passed, even if I didn't know who he really is. By the way, the adoptive family never found out about the whole thing. So after hearing this I told her we missed a lot by not knowing she is my mother, and I told her I understand she did the right thing. I pulled out an "It's a Boy" sign from the picnic basket and some snacks for a late baby shower, and we hugged for an hour or so, had a lot of fun, watched a movie, and I headed off to my parents' adoptive house to have dinner with them. I'm glad she is my mother. I feel for the first time in years complete. I don't care she lied because she did it for the greater good, and I honestly can't imagine my life right now if she didn't. Thanks Reddit for helping me getting my feelings straight and helping me out mentally to cope with everything that happened. Second story. Would I, 38F, be an idiot if I got back together with my ex-husband, 37M, who cheated on me 10 years ago? My ex, who we'll call Mike, and I were together since we were 14 and got married at 22. We have 2 kids together, 15F and 11M. My ex's work takes him all over the country for a week every quarter. In one of those trips, he hooked up with one of his co-workers. I never thought he could do something like that, cause our relationship was really solid. He confessed immediately after he got home. I actually would have never found out if he didn't. He begged me for forgiveness, said that he still loved me and it was a lapse in judgment, but said he would understand if I wanted a divorce, which is what eventually happened. It was very amicable and he actually gave me more than I expected: house, child support, alimony. It was a slow process, but over the years we became friends again and have a good co-parenting dynamic. Mike's a great father and the kids still love him. I got married 3 years after and he was actually very supportive. I divorced my second husband 2 years ago cause he changed his mind on kids. I want one last baby. Since the lockdown, Mike has been over frequently. At this point, our relationship is so good we don't need to enforce any of the set visits and such. Well, things have been getting hot between us for the last few months and we started having sex. I'm a woman with needs too, and, to be very honest with you guys, he's still the best guy I've been with after all these years. It's like our bodies were made for each other. He always joked that we were like Prime Pippin and Jordan in bed, and when he said that again, it felt like we were back 10 years ago when we were still together. It was supposed to be just physical, but here we are. Just a few hours ago, he brought up the idea of us getting back together. He gave me the most genuine speech about how stupid he was the night he cheated and how he never stopped loving me in the last 10 years. I was speechless and couldn't say anything, so he just gave me his usual toothy smile and said it's okay, I'll wait before driving home. Now I'm lying here in bed typing this out. I'd be lying to you guys if I said I didn't love him. I'd be lying if I said the last few months weren't the happiest I've been in years. And I'd be lying if I said I never forgave him for cheating. I've told him years ago that I already did. If I had to decide right now, I'd jump out of bed and drive to his house and bring him home. It's taking all my willpower not to do so. I love him. However, I also want to think with my brain here. Pros of taking him back. He's a great dad and the kids would have him around more. He's a great provider. He says he still wants kids. I still love him. Cons, I don't know yet, but maybe some of you can help me with that. Any advice on how I should proceed? Edit, I made the first move when we started sleeping together. Update. It's been a few days now since I've posted, and Reddit has given me some solid advice, especially the kind Redditors who messaged me directly. I'm very grateful for this cause. It helped me calm down and not give in to my impulses. The morning after I posted, I texted Mike saying that I needed time and space to think about everything. He then replied with, I've waited 10 years, I can wait a bit longer. My heart melted. When the kids woke up, our son was looking for his dad. He's at the age now where he pretty much idolized his dad. I get why though, Mike is an amazing dad. Our daughter gave me the stink eye all morning. After lunch, when our son was in his room playing video games, my daughter confronted me about Mike. She basically said how she knew there was something going on, guess we're not that sneaky, and that she didn't want our fighting to affect their lives. She thought we were fighting. Now, the divorce affected her, but not as badly as expected. We made sure to get her counseling immediately after and made extra sure her life was as normal as possible. I'm not gonna delude myself and think she wasn't hurt by it, but I'm pretty confident in saying we dealt with it pretty well. Or as well as we could. I then had the conversation about how we weren't fighting, but quite the opposite. We were thinking about getting back together. She thought about it for a while and said she was happy for us and hoped it was forever this time. The next day I dropped my kids off at my parents' house so I could talk to Mike at his place. We had a long talk about how we felt about each other, what we planned to do about it going forward, and as many of you suggested, what he planned to do next time we hit a rough patch, especially since we plan on having a third kid. He told me that the night he cheated still haunted him 10 years later. He told me how it wasn't worth it one bit and how it was the biggest mistake of his life. He said that if ever we hit a rough patch again, we would talk about it like adults. He even suggested we do couples counseling every now and then, even when times are good. I liked this idea. There are some details about our conversation that I want to keep private, but long story short, we got back together. We are going to take it slow, and in every step we take, we both agreed that our children would take priority over everything. He's not going to move in yet, but he would spend a few nights a week at home with us. Later that night, we sat the kids down and broke the news. Daughter didn't say much cause she already knew, but our son was over the moon. Since we divorced when he was a baby, the concept of both his parents being together was quite new to him. They obviously asked questions and we answered them. We're also planning on doing family counseling to help make the transition easier for everybody. Overall, I'm really happy right now. Mike made a mistake 10 years ago, but I don't hold it against him and have completely forgiven him for it. I know he loves me now and won't cheat on me anymore. I'm back together now with the love of my life and father of my kids, and I couldn't be happier. As I type this out, Mike is in the next room playing video games with our son. I'm not entirely sure what the future will look like, but I'm happy he's back. Thank you, Reddit, for the advice. It really helped with our talk and how we proceed going forward. I think I'll stay online for an hour or so to reply till the kids are asleep and he comes to bed, then it's my turn to have fun. Peace, grinning face with smiling eyes.